Welcome back. The House set to receive the big, beautiful bill in less than an hour from now. The Senate passed the bill last night in a tie-breaking vote from Vice President J.D. Vance. 3 Republicans voted with the Democrats to no. That was the most no votes they could afford in order to pass it, and that's what happened. Yesterday, the House Rules Committee voted to advance the bill to the floor. After nearly 12 hours of debate, Congressman Ralph Norman and Chip Roy both voted no, also siding with the Democrats to raise taxes, basically. A vote could come down to any time today or tomorrow before the July 4th deadline for the president to sign it into law. President Trump writes this on Truth Social. To my GOP friends in the House, stay united, have fun, and vote yay. Joining me now is North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer. Senator, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. You voted yes to the bill. Can you take us behind the curtain and tell us about the debates that ensued?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of great debate, Maria, and people should know that this wasn't something we did, on a whim. This is a bill that had a lot of attention over a lot of time. John Thune did a masterful job of opening the conference up to lots of meetings, lots of retreats, lots of lunches with cabinet secretaries, a lot of discussion. So nobody did this in a whim. Now, remembering that we have a board of directors of 535 in this country, and every one of them thinks the other 534 are unreasonable. But you have to come together at some point and find, if nothing else, the lowest common denominator. And the debate really centered around a couple of things. The Medicaid provisions were really a big deal. Politically, it's a challenge for sure when you start reforming great big entitlement programs. And by the way, one thing about all of the debate, whether it's energy companies, banks, manufacturers, hospitals, and you name the industry, agriculture, you name the industry, nobody came to us and said, gee, we wish you'd cut our benefits a little bit more or make it a little harder for us to get free money from the taxpayers. Everybody's clinging to it. And so I think we did a masterful job of finding that sweet spot that got 50 votes. And also, by the way, Maria, always being cognizant of the fact that Mike Johnson has a tough job, too. We need to have a bill that he can pass as well. While not easily, given the binary choice, I think yes is the logical vote for any conservative or center-right, for that matter, member of the House of Representatives.
Well, John Thune did masterfully, certainly ensuring that he got, for example, Lisa Murkowski's vote. Let's talk about that wraparound amendment. That was the instrument to secure the senator from Alaska's vote, Lisa Murkowski, to end that tax, that excise tax on wind and solar. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so one of the hallmarks of the bill that I liked so much in the final package before the wraparound was that we expedited the end of these big breaks for wind and solar they've been enjoying subsidies from the federal taxpayer for 35 years. Not exactly a nascent technology. And to add to that, there was this excise tax. Particularly, the tax was placed mainly on foreign entities or foreign parts in the supply chain. So it meets with the America First agenda of President Trump, good tax policy, pro-growth for American industry. That was a big struggle for a number of members, to include Lisa. So giving that up at the very, very end was part of the price of getting the 50th vote, which is what creates the imperfection of really good. And I'm settling for really good.
And of course, President Trump is talking about this bill leading to growth in the economy. We are waiting any moment now to get the jobs numbers for the month of May. The expectations call for the ADP numbers to be up 95,000 for the month of June, rather. It's the June jobs data, and we'll, of course, right now seeing the number actually show a decline in jobs, down 33,000 on ADP. The bill includes $25 billion for the Golden Dome, the missile defense system. Senator, you introduced a bill supporting the construction of that system. I want to get your take on defense and whether or not that's an area you see continuing to grow, because everyone's trying to figure out where the economic growth comes from on a day that we see the June ADP numbers down 33,000 jobs in the month of June versus an estimate of up 95,000, Senator.
Sure, I would turn people to the report by the Council of Economic Advisors that shows, really reconciles not just this tax policy and the spending side of it, which includes Golden Dome and other defense spending, and, by the way, Homeland Security spending. It's really not that grows the economy nearly as much as the pro-growth tax policy. Making that permanent alone is a big deal. And then the fact that we increased the standard deduction, which is used by 90% of the taxpayers in this country, nearly doubled the child tax credit, which every liberal should love, as well as pro-growth Republicans. And then here's the other big thing, Maria, that we don't talk about enough. You reconcile that with good trade policy, with good regulatory policy, and you have every aspect of our government pulling in the same direction with the economy. And so I think you'll see certainly job growth. But remember too, we don't have a lot of people hanging around in this country that aren't working. We have people from other countries, and that's a problem. So I think we need to reconcile our immigration policy as well with our workforce, and you start doing it all together. And I think there's no end to the opportunities for growth in this economy, but it is an important factor that does not get talked about nearly enough.
I mean, you wonder what Jay Powell is thinking this morning, Senator, right? I mean, yesterday he said, look, we would have been cutting interest rates if it weren't for President Trump's tariffs. I don't get that at all. I mean, the president's tariffs have been taking in and increasing revenue in the Treasury coffers, and yet he's over there saying we would be cutting rates right now, but we're not because we're watching the tariffs. We just got a report on jobs that shows a decline in jobs. And those jobs have been lost. Do you think this is enough to get Jay Powell to move to cut rates?
Well, if not, I hope some of the other governors put a little extra pressure on Chairman Powell. I've defended Chairman Powell many times to Donald Trump and publicly. I'm on the banking committee, but I, like everybody, have grown increasingly frustrated by what seems to be a chairman that is always pushing against the trend. And nothing that he's predicted has happened. It didn't happen prior to the necessary increases, frankly, in interest rates, which he should have started sooner, and we would have had a much softer landing in all of this. Nor has he responded quickly enough to the shifting economic opportunities. We really need a Fed that remains independent, Maria, for sure, but not independent of the economic movement of the country, to include, by the way, the executive branch and the legislative branch of our country. You can't be independent of what's working and pretend somehow you have to be an outlier or a contrarian just because you're, quote, independent. So I've grown increasingly frustrated with Jay Powell in this job, and look forward to Donald Trump's next pick for the position, actually.
Well, President Trump was gearing up for the big, beautiful bill to pass the Senate when I spoke with him. And once again, he emphasized economic growth. Here's the president with me on Sunday. Watch.
Mr. President, let me end on the big, beautiful bill, because here we are right before July 4th.
We're cutting 1.7. Let's see, we're cutting, 1.7 trillion. Think of it. I think I just saw the number a little while ago, $1.7 trillion. But we can grow our country so much more than that. And we're not going to have to do. You also have to get elected. When you do cutting, you have to be a little bit careful, because people don't like necessarily cutting if they get used to something. And what I want to do is do it through growth. We're going to have growth like we've never seen before.
And part of that growth comes from what you've been working on in the Senate in terms of the Genius bill. Now, New York Attorney General Letitia James is pushing back on the stablecoin legislation, Senator. She's warning Congress in an 8-page letter to, quote, slow down on passing the Genius Act, claiming that it lacks the necessary guardrails to protect the American public. Senator, your reaction to Letitia James, who was just endorsing and campaigning with Zohran Mamdani?
Well, it shouldn't surprise anybody that a socialist would think that there aren't enough, quote, guardrails. That's code for we need to regulate the hell out of the industry. And the problem with that heavy hand of government position on something that's as nascent and as dynamic, for example, as stablecoin, is that that investors can go other places, and they're going to be compelled to go to other countries, which weakens the American dollar, it weakens the American opportunity, if you will, for these new financial tools. And so we took a soft touch approach, put up some good guardrails, protects the American dollar, the significance, obviously, of the dollar in the world. And Letitia James just wants to, like most liberals, wants to just regulate it out of existence, the way it appears to me. So I think it's disappointing. This is complicated stuff. I'm certainly not an expert on any of it, but I do know that over-regulating is not the way that you promote good economic activity and opportunity.
It's a great point, Senator. I'm so glad you made it. But let's not forget that Letitia James is with Mamdani, who wants to have free grocery stores. Right?
Yeah, right.
The city is going to run your grocer, which is incredible to me. Senator, it's great to see you. Thank you, sir. We'll be watching your work. And congrats on passing the big, beautiful bill.
Thank you,
We'll see what
Maria.
the House does next.